Well, I must admit the place hasn't been quite so bad since you've been around.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Of course, there have been times when the junior officer needed ticking off by the senior officer.
Perhaps I'd have a better chance to learn if we were both to live in the same house.
Same house?
Well, I was meaning to ask you about this earlier, but I've never quite found the right moment.
Oh, yeah, I suppose we could talk about
I'm
it.
afraid it's a little bit late for that now. You see, I've given notice on my flat. Either I move in with you, or I end up with nowhere to stay.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't join forces with the Screws to find it.
Screws? Hey, what is this?
I'm not talking about anything permanent, just till we find the gun.
No bloody way. I'm going to tell the other girls what's going on in here. I don't reckon
Okay. We'll make it a compromise. We look for it ourselves for another 24 hours. If we draw a blank, then we tell Mrs. Reynolds to do something about it. Agreed?
Yes.
I can't stay. It's no good. You've got your job. I've got to put back the pieces.
With me helping you, it'll be...
No. I have to do it on my own. I'm not the old Dennis Cruikshank. I've got to find out who this person is. I'm not even sure whether I'm capable of a relationship.
Dear. Accepting the fact that he didn't want us to get married, but then to just go.
If Dennis is convinced he's ruining your career...
Oh, I don't care about my career. Well, I do. I care about him too. I love him.
And he still loves you. He said so, didn't he? You don't think this is his way of showing you how much you mean to him?
Of course it is, but it's also unnecessary.
From your point of view, yes.
Oh, don't.
How often have you told the women to look to the future, to what lies ahead? So what are you going to do? Look, you decided not to accept the governorship because of Dennis's injuries. Perhaps you should think again.
Get on with my career, just like that.
Oh, I know it sounds insensitive, but it's obviously what Dennis wants. And if he does decide to come back, you'll be in a much better position, at least financially, to take care of him. There's no one else I'd rather see take over. I've decided to accept the minister's offer to become head of department, which means Wentworth will need a new governor.
Well, we knew it had to be something pretty serious to get you up to solitary.
Yeah, getting to be a regular heavy, aren't you?
The poor girl hasn't been through enough.
Geez, you can be a downer sometimes.
Put you through the horrors of solitary, I'll never know.
I'm sure he killed Nana. Just to get her money.
Both he and Aunt Harriet.
The question is how to prove it while you're in here and they're out there.
There has to be a way. I'm determined to find it.
Well, let's hope that Howie can do the trick.
Howie?
Howard Simmons, this lawyer I put you on to.
Well, look who's back from the slammer. You better curb that temper of yours or you'll wind up in prison.
Very funny.
We can do without that.
Thought the top dog would have enough on her plate. Like trying to find that bit of hardware before someone gets their head blown off. Right, girls?
It's being seen to.
You panicking everyone isn't helping matters.
Someone in this rat hole's got a gun. Why shouldn't we panic?
We'll find it.
Maybe it's Lex. Or Daffy Duck over there. I mean, she's the one that bought it in the first place. Probably tried to pinch it back again.
Wish I'd never found it. I don't want no one getting hurt.
Don't you let it get to you, love.
She's right, that. If anybody gets shot, it's going to be my fault.
Yeah, and I'll never let you out in the garden again, that's for sure.
Drop it.
Diddums. Top dog will fix it. Well, that's assuming that there's anyone left after the shooting starts.
Mind if I put these in with yours? It saves having two lots.
Oh, yeah, I suppose so.
Don't worry, I'm not going to force you to listen to them if you don't want to. Ah, We certainly have got different tastes in music, haven't we?
Oh, they may not be very fashionable, but they're certainly what I like.
There's no need to be defensive. Truth is, I wouldn't exactly call my taste the latest thing either. Why don't you just relax and stop thinking I'm going to march in here and throw your whole life into chaos?
It's just that I'm so used to living on my own.
You won't regret it, I promise.
Well, I guess we better celebrate then. Would you like a drink?
Great. Oh, isn't that lovely? Hadn't noticed it before.
Glad you like it.
I told you our tastes weren't that different. Well, here's to us.
Just doesn't make sense.
Oh, things aren't always that simple. The best solution sometimes is the most painful one.
But I don't see how Dennis leaving can be for the best, not when they love each other so much.
Perhaps that's the reason. Look, if Dennis loves Meg that much, he wouldn't want her to feel stuck with him.
But he needs someone to look after him.
Joycey, you know when you found out about my epilepsy attacks?
Yes.
I didn't tell you at the time, but when I saw your reaction, I actually considered leaving you.
Oh.
I hated the thought of upsetting you with my problem. I love you too much to let that happen. Dennis might feel the same way about Meg.
Oh, I see what you mean. Was I really awful to you?
No, I'm not blaming you. I only thought of leaving because of you.
But everything's all right now, isn't it? I mean, you still don't
yes,
feel...
darling. Oh, look, it's time for that Nelson Eddie Jeanette MacDonald movie. Shall we watch it?
Yes.
Well, I think if I combine that one with that one. Well, what do you think? Blink once for yes and twice for no.
Honestly, May, you can be so crass sometimes. As if I haven't enough on my mind without having to advise you about clashing colours. There's a gun loose in the prison, for heaven's sake!
Don't snap at me, we'll find it.
What if Lou's right? What if it's fallen into the wrong hands and somebody uses it? It was bad enough with Henri.
Oh? And who is Henri?
Just someone I met once. I had a bad experience with him.
Well, tell me the whole story, madam. It's obviously on your mind.
He was a Swiss ski instructor. No, a different one. And we began a relationship of sorts.
Well, who's a dark horse? You never told me about that one.
No, well, it turned a bit sour. He had some rather odd habits. He was a little too continental for my liking. Anyway, I told him we'd better not see each other anymore and that I'd be taking lessons from another lodge in the future.
And?
He objected. And to make his point, he drew a gun and he pointed it at me. He threatened to kill me.
Was it loaded?
Well, as it turned out, no. It was made of plastic. But it looked real, and, well, how was I to know? And the way he laughed, it was so callous and cruel, I had nightmares for months.
Well, there's no point in worrying yourself sick and losing sleep over it. The chances are the thing's rusted up and just as harmless as that thing that Henri pointed at you.
That's not what Daphne said, and she saw it.
Well, the last thing we want is you panicking about it. Now, come back over here and lend me your colour-coordinated eye. Well, come on.
You told Noy you didn't have this?